Welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ, hosted by the fearless Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Now, I want to thank everyone who is watching us on OBBM Network TV, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and all our other platforms. So this week, our special guest is Matt Krause. He is a commissioner from Tarrant County, Texas, and we will get to him very shortly. The states I'm going to be talking about this week are Kansas, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island. We're going to get into our election term, our election trivia, national news, our vote notes, international election information, and as always, at the end, my final thoughts, which are completely unscripted. So let's get right to our guest this week. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. Now, I know there's a number of people watching that aren't sure what a commissioner does in Tarrant County, Texas. So you want to give us a background on that?
Sure, I'd love to. In Texas, we have 254 counties, and whether you're the most populous county like Harris County, where Houston is, or a little county called Loving County, where there's more cows than people, they're all set up the same way. You've got 4 commissioners and a county judge. And so each of the commissioners takes about a fourth or a quadrant of the county, and then the county judge oversees the entire county. But you do the tax rates, you do the budgeting, you do the roads and bridges in the county. And so we kind of do the administration of the entire county. Tarrant County just happens to be, I think, the 3rd largest county now in Texas. So we've got about 2.4 million people. And it's an honor to be the commissioner for Precinct 3 here in this great county.
Wow, so it's pretty much like people running the towns here in Connecticut. You have your town committees.
That's a great way to say it. Even our county judge, especially in your bigger counties, the judge is more of a mayor or an administrator than a legal judge. So you're exactly right. Think about your towns, your city councils. This is much more like that.
Do you also oversee anything that has to do with elections?
We do have an elections administration. We do have an elections department. And so we get to say where the election sites are. We canvass the votes. And so, yes, there is an election component to what we do here in Tarrant County.
So there's a number of different things you do as a commissioner. What is one of the things that you're most proud of that you've been involved in Tarrant County, Texas?
Well, a couple of things. I've just been on the court since last January. So I got elected in 2024, took office in 2025. Since then, one of the things that was important to me is we put up a 10 Commandments monument outside our historic courthouse, our county courthouse, just to remind people of the history and tradition of what our laws and what our civilization here in Texas and America were founded on. So now if you drive by the historic courthouse in downtown Fort Worth, you'll see a big 10 Commandments monument. I love that we were able to do that. But then on a policy side, we've been able to keep taxes low. We've actually cut the tax rate each of the last several years. And so a lot of your big counties around the state and around the country, their budgets are only growing. We're spending about 80 million less taxpayer dollars in Tarrant County now than we were just 3 or 4 years ago. And so I feel like we've been very financially responsible. A lot of credit goes to our county judge and county commissioners who were there before I was. But I feel very good about that because it's kind of countercultural to a lot of big counties around the state and around the country.
And of course, in Texas, everything is bigger and better in Texas.
That's what we say, and that we're trying to live up to that. That's exactly right.
I mean, not only do you have the commandments now as a monument outside of your courthouse, you actually have it as a law, I believe, in the state of Texas in your schools.
That's right. We are now allowed to put up the 10 Commandments in our schools. And so that's working its way to the Supreme Court. I bet that'll be a Supreme Court decision in the next year or so. But we feel very confident about that. I do a little bit of work with a group called First Liberty Institute, which protects religious liberties all across the country. They were very involved in SB 10, which was our 10 Commandments law. And so they feel very comfortable when it does get up to the Supreme Court that it's going to be upheld. And so it's great walking into a school and seeing those on the wall just as a reminder, hey, don't steal, don't kill, honor your mother and father, don't lie. I think those are all great things for students to be reminded of every day.
Of course, because we were founded on Christian values, and
That's
that includes the 10 Commandments. And
that's
I think
exactly right.
that's fabulous.
That's
Now,
exactly right.
you also have a huge problem in Texas with Sharia law coming and rearing its ugly head there as well, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was in the Texas House for 10 years as well, from 2013 to 2023. And along that time, we had several bills that said, hey, no Sharia law, American law, and American courts. We're not going to do that. But there is a heavy, heavy push towards bringing in some of those Sharia law concepts here into Texas. And so you've seen it over in Europe, you've seen it over in some of these other countries that where you're not vigilant, where you're not keeping an eye out for it, where you're not taking action on it, it can kind of get away from you. And so what we're trying to do in Texas is make sure we understand the issue, understand the threat, and responding to it in the best way possible. Maybe not just through legislation, but other things, but making sure that we don't even allow any kind of daylight for Sharia law. Because at the end of the day, Sharia law is a system that's antithetical to our constitutional republic. And so you can't allow any of that to take root in your societies, in your state, or things get away real quick, like we've seen in the United Kingdom and some other places.
Yeah. And it's been very difficult, I know, in Texas, because believe it or not, I read every day the Texas scorecard.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I love getting that because it gives all kinds of information on what is going on in Texas. And you guys always seem to be more than a few steps ahead of a lot of other states across the country in trying to nip things in the bud down there.
That's right.
But the Sharia law and that ideology has really gotten into the universities, along with your problems with the DEI, which even Trump has said, no DEI.
That's right.
We
Well,
we need people on merit,
that's
not
right.
because of the color of their skin.
That's right. Well, and that's what I always tell folks is it doesn't seem like you can be a supporter of Martin Luther King Jr. and a supporter of DEI. Because one of the best things, most famous things Martin Luther King ever said was we should judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. DEI only judges people by the color of their skin and nothing else. And so it's very antithetical to the American ideal, what our country was founded upon, even the great civil rights leaders, what they said was important. And so you're right. President Trump did a fantastic job. Texas was, again, on the leading edge of that about a year or so before, saying we're not going to have that in certain aspects of Texas, whether it's our universities or other things. But that's something you've constantly got to stay a step ahead on, because DEI will become something else, which has the same ideology, just a different name to get around some of the laws and the rules, where you can't have DEI, but maybe you have SEL or, these other kind of acronyms. So you've always got to be vigilant, because you want to make sure what the kids are being taught, especially in our schools and universities, are things that show them what America should be and what America was founded on, not co-opted by a group that wants to work against those founding principles.
Well, once again, Texas bigger and better
Yeah,
with
that's right.
everything. And you still have some of the crazies that we have all across the country that are running. Who's someone? I forgot the gentleman's name.
Tallarico.
Tallarico. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes. So I actually served with him for 2 terms, and so he and I know each other. We always got along very well. Always had very cordial, respectful conversations. But he is about as far left as you're going to find, and he's trying to walk some of those statements back since he got into the general election for U.S. Senate. But there's a list a country mile long showing that he's very out of step with the majority of Texans, and so. I feel very confident by the time we get to November, most every one of the 32, 33 million residents in Texas will have heard all the things that he said that just do not jive with Texas voters and our Texas culture and our Texas way of life. And I don't think he'll win. So luckily, he has been so outspoken in his beliefs for so long. So we've got plenty of material to show people this guy does not believe like the majority of Texans do. Let's not send him to the U.S. Senate.
Well, not only what a majority of Texans believe, but also across the country. The
Great point.
Americans, the true patriots. I mean, we are absolutely fighting not only socialism, but it has really morphed into communism. Here in the Northeast,
That's
we've
right.
got Mondami in New York, which, considering the fact that it's got the highest Jewish population of any city in the country, to have someone who absolutely hates Jews and is a communist and who really shouldn't even be mayor of New York. I mean, after signing his documents incorrectly when he applied for citizenship, you can't be a communist or a socialist, and he is. And just
It is.
everything that he's doing.
Well, even you saw, I'm sure you saw, you're so well read, his July 4th speech when, it looked like he could care less about the founding of our country. He was not excited about the greatest nation on earth celebrating its 250th birthday. And so you're right. It would be, I think it's a shame that New York City did that, but maybe it'll be a good lesson for everybody else, seeing the fruits of what that socialistic, communistic worldview, when they actually tried to put it into practice here in America, what that can do. Because everywhere else it's been tried around the world, it's only led to devastation, it's only led to poverty, it's only led to mass killings. So we seem to think that there's a sanitized version out there that could somehow be okay. It never works out, and it might be good for some of us to see what the logical conclusion of somebody like that is.
Right. And also the fact when Mondami gave that speech, he was at George Washington's desk and he turned it around.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how could you do that?
It's incredible.
But he can. I mean, he's the same one who was setting up meetings with the Iranians who we're at war with,
That's
and
right.
who also said the other day he's going to arrest Netanyahu when he comes to the United Nations.
That's right. Hey,
Yeah.
you have to give him credit. He's bold. He's not hiding anything. He's very upfront about who he is and what he believes. But hopefully New Yorkers wake up to that and put a stop to that the next chance that they're able to.
Well, they've been absolutely hoodwinked in New York. And now they have, just as an ongoing thing, there's 12 blocks of homeless tents and all kinds of drugs and everything else that are there on the Upper West Side of New York near the Intrepid. And he's not doing anything.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes. I mean, it's starting to look like California. It's that bad right now. And of course, the nut jobs that are in New York, they overflow into Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, you're right there by them. That's right. So you feel that very, very closely. Yeah.
Yes. Being in Connecticut, and it was just announced, our unemployment rate is 5.2%. Yay, we're the worst in the entire country now.
That's pretty high, yeah.
Our Democrat socialist governor. I mean, we have it really bad. I love Connecticut. I will never move from Connecticut. This is where I was born, where I have been raised, and I'm not going to give up. But I really envy you guys in Texas.
I was going to say,
you guys have common sense.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you're right. It's nothing extraordinary. It's just common sense. But unfortunately, common sense seems to be in short supply around the country. But we're honored to be here fighting the good fight in Texas too.
Well, it's in the water in the Northeast. It has to be.
Yes. Well, God bless you. Yes, for fighting that fight. Yeah.
All right. So before we go, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about Tarrant County, Texas, as one of the 4 commissioners?
Yeah, in Tarrant County, we're the last large remaining county in the country that has conservative leadership. And so we take that very seriously. Most of the other big counties around the country, from coast to coast and in the middle, have bought into this big government idea. And so we feel very called to make sure that we do things different here in Tarrant County because we are different. And so hopefully people will see that. People who are looking, if they don't want to stay in a place that's kind of gone crazy, they're looking for a place that has conservative leadership that's trying to do things the right way to maximize the ability for people to earn happiness in the way that they want to. Come to Tarrant County. We'd love to have you, and we're always looking for more people to be a part of that vision with us.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you have people from Connecticut going there. They just did a survey. Yeah, they did a survey recently, and 40% of Connecticut taxpayers, I should say taxpayers, plan on moving out of the state of Connecticut in the next 5 years. That's how bad
Wow.
it is here. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay. Well, yes, come to Tarrant County. As long as the people who are coming here that vote in other ways don't bring that voting pattern here. That's what we say. We welcome everybody.
yep.
Just if you're leaving a liberal state, don't bring that same voting pattern here to mess up what we're doing. So,
Yeah, really.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for
Thank
coming on
you.
our program. I really appreciate it, and we will definitely have you on again. Thank
That sounds
you.
great. Thank you. God bless you.
All right, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you, in courtrooms and communities nationwide, to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country, this is our vote, let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ from SYNC-O-WICZ, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new series that we have just added called SYNC-O-WICZ Presents Candidate Spotlight. And this is open to any candidate, any party, anywhere in the country that wants to have a 20-minute interview. So you can talk about yourself, your platform, your campaign, and we'll help you get it out there. So give us a call, send us an email, or visit our website. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ, and you're watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to start off with our first state, and that is going to be Kansas. This is another one of those wow ones. Yeah, the wow. It's from KCUR-MPR. That's the first hint of a wow. From July 16th, 2026. Kansas judge temporarily blocks election law repealing 3-day grace period for mail-in ballots. A new law passed by Republicans in the Kansas legislature repeals a 3-day grace period for mail-in ballots that were postmarked by Election Day. And of course, civic groups have sued, calling it, quote, a deliberate and unconstitutional assault on Kansans' fundamental right to vote, unquote, quote. No, mail it in sooner or go in person. So a Douglas County District Court judge issued a temporary injunction Thursday, keeping in place a 2017 state law allowing the counting of advance mail ballots postmarked by Election Day, but arriving at county offices up to 3 days after polls closed. Judge Carl Folsom's order placed a hold on a 2025 law that required rejection of advance mail-in ballots not received by county election officials by 7 p.m. on Election Day. Let's see who the people that are doing the lawsuit are. Kansas Appleseed, Loud Light, the Disability Rights Center of Kansas, and 3 Kansas voters asserted repeal of the 3-day grace period was, again, a deliberate and unconstitutional assault on Kansans' fundamental right to vote. The plaintiffs filed the suit against Secretary of State Scott Schwab and Douglas County Clerk Jamie Shrew. Okay. You can read the rest of that story there. I mean, come on, people. That's just crazy, honestly. Okay. And Schwab, the state's top election official and a defendant in the lawsuit, said 2 years ago, the U.S. Postal Service has become so slow that the Pony Express is more efficient. I had to at least put that last little part in on that story. So now we're going to go to North Carolina, the News and Observer on July 15th, 2026. North Carolina County Elections Meeting erupts over early voting disputes, auditor influence. In a heated meeting on Wednesday, the Granville County Board of Elections failed to reach an agreement on a revised early voting plan as members of the public made allegations of undue influence from the state auditor's office and racial bias in polling sites. The board had already split on the issue last month, with the Republican majority opting to eliminate a voting site in Creedmoor and move another away from downtown Oxford, both of which are areas where Democrats fared better in the 2024 election than in other parts of the county. This stuff is just ridiculous. I'm not going to read the rest of that. It's the same stuff over and over again in North Carolina. Really? Okay, we are now on to Oregon, or Oregon, as most people would say. But I was told by someone from Oregon that it's Oregon. Okay? And this is from the Oregon Capitol Chronicle from July 16th, 2026. No Oregon elections are... It's even hard to read this. No, Oregon elections are plenty secure. Who the heck came up with that headline? That is so ridiculous. So Republican Secretary of State Dennis Richardson looked for fraud. He found Oregon's system works well and cleanly. I'm sorry. Really? Oh my goodness. He's been drinking their water too, apparently. All right. So when Dennis Richardson was elected Oregon's Secretary of State on the same day and party ticket as Donald Trump was first elected president, he moved quickly to look into a subject Trump talked about then and ever since: voter fraud and election corruption. Why does it always have to throw Trump in there, honestly, in a headline? So he was elected on the same day as President Trump. Really? Okay. And then this guy, Richardson, is going to go in search of the fraud, which he should. He should. But Richardson reported what he found in the Oregon voting system. Some areas for improvement, but generally a system that works well and cleanly. Once a skeptic of the motor voter registration system, he had revised his views, saying it actually has strengthened it in some ways. He warned against unfounded claims of voting problems because it causes greater distrust of the government. I want to make sure that citizens of the state can trust their voting system. Listen, I cannot wait until the numbers of all the illegals on the Oregon voting rolls come out, and how many dead people are on the voter rolls, and how many people who have moved that have not been removed from the voter rolls. There is no voting system or voting rolls anywhere in the country right now that are, as one Secretary of State had said, were pristine. They're not. It's a huge problem. Huge, huge problem. So I'm glad he's looking into it, but I was going to say, who picked these stories? But then again, I'm the one who picks all of them. Honestly, I go through all the different stories. I try to get different states every week. Once in a while, we have some continuing stories like on Arizona and all their stuff that they've got going on, or some of the other swing states. But yes, it is me. I go through and I read both the left and the right and try to find something in between of substance. So now we're going to go on to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, this is from the LevitttownNow.com on July 16th, 2026. Pennsylvania's top election official responds to federal threat of charges over non-citizen voters. Pennsylvania's top election official, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt, gave no indication the state would be changing any policies or practices in response to a letter from President Donald Trump's Department of Justice warning Schmidt could face criminal prosecution. Last week, the Justice Department sent letters to all 50 states warning that their chief election officials could be criminally charged if they knowingly allow non-citizens to vote or be registered to vote. In a response sent Monday, Schmidt told the Justice Department that he takes the prospect of ineligible voters seriously. But he gave no indication that the Pennsylvania Department of State would make any changes to the administration of the 2026 election, and noted it is actually local officials who are in charge of maintaining the voter rolls. Did you see that bus coming? He just threw all his election officials in the state of Pennsylvania under that bus. Be assured that these dedicated local officials, as well as our employees who serve the Department of State, work tirelessly to enforce that Pennsylvania's voter rolls are accurately maintained, Schmidt said in a response. Furthermore, be assured that the department refers instances of suspected voter fraud to our state and federal law enforcement partners, and we encourage our county election officials to do the same. Yeah, okay. I'd like to see the list of how many have been sent over. Okay. Now we're going to go on to the teeny tiny itty bitty state of Rhode Island. This is from the city of Providence, and this is from Mayor Smiley from July 16th, 2026. Mayor Smiley signs executive order strengthening voter protections and safeguarding election integrity. Which off the bat, you know what that means. Let's see how we can do things that are totally the opposite of what is supposed to be done. An executive order establishes centralized legal review for federal requests and strengthens protections against voter intimidation or immigration enforcement activities ahead of 2026 election. Now, here's a theme that the Democrats have, by the way, is, oh my God, we don't want ICE at our polling locations. And they're the ones that brought it up. Well, they know why. Because you've got all the illegals that are on the voter rolls. And it'll be an easy place to catch them, right? Mayor Brett P. Smiley today, joined by Senator Anna Quezada, community partners, advocates, and city leaders, signed an executive order strengthening protection for Providence voters, safeguarding voter information, and establishing clear policies on how city departments must respond to election-related requests from federal agencies. So far, it's been a big raspberry, I believe. Okay. The executive order protecting voter rights and election integrity follows the recent federal actions involving election monitoring and requests of voter information in communities across the country. Of course it does. But I'm going to skip to the rest of what the order directs the city departments to do. Safeguard personally identified voter information to the fullest extent permitted by law. Review records for confidential, exempt, or protected information before any disclosure is authorized. Refrain from using city funds, employees, or equipment to assist federal election investigations, voter list maintenance, or election enforcement efforts unless legally required. Established an election hotline protocol to respond to reports of voter intimidation or immigration enforcement activity near polling stations, designate legal support for polling locations and update guidance for responding to federal immigration enforcement activity, and provide a Providence police presence at polling locations to support voter safety and enforce applicable protections. Clearly identify Rhode Island's 50-foot electioneering boundaries at polling stations. I got to interject here. It's okay to have your local police at a polling location, but in a federal election, you can't allow a federal officer at the location? Really? Support compliance with state law restricting United States immigration, custom enforcement employees, agents, or officials from entering or remaining within 200 feet of polling places while voting is underway, except as permitted by law. So you can have all the numbnuts that are holding signs and protesting 50 feet, according to Rhode Island's law. But if you're a federal officer, you've got to be 4 times further away. Is that ridiculous? Unbelievable. And maintain accessible pedestrian routes in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act at polling stations on city property. Well, no kidding. You had to put that in executive order? And publicly disclose significant federal election related requests and the legal basis for the city's response unless disclosure is prohibited by law. Oh my goodness. For that little itty bitty state, boy, they're flexing their muscles, aren't they? He must be a friend of our Attorney General Tong here in Connecticut, honestly. Oh my goodness. Now we're going to go on to our election term of the week. And this is from the Baltimore Beat, July 19th, 2026. Independent voter. A citizen who does not identify with either the Democrat or Republican parties and votes for candidates based on issues rather than political ideologies. Well, that's kind of weird because I know a lot of Republicans vote on issues as well, but apparently we're told that we don't do that. Okay. We're going to go on to our election trivia question of the week. And this is again from a Reader's Digest. Our question: which 3 presidents died on the 4th of July? We're going to go to a quick break and we'll be right back.
We need your help to ensure one vote for one legal voter. Join Fight Voter Fraud. Request training, get the potential double-registered, double voter data for your town, and donate to support the fight. Visit fightvoterfraud.org because election integrity starts with you.
Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. We are launching Operation Verify Voters 2026, and we want to get everyone involved in every single state because you can make a difference. We will be able to train you. It doesn't take that long for the training. It's very, very simple because you know the people on your street, in your neighborhood who have moved or died. We want to make sure that the voter rolls are clean. We're going to show you how to do it. Go to our website, fightvoterfraud.org, or scan the QR code and we'll show you how. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. Now, when I left you a few moments ago, we had our trivia question, which is, which 3 presidents died on the 4th of July? The answer is John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Both of them died on the same day, the 4th of July in 1826. And James Monroe died on July 4th, 1831. So those were the 3. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our national news. This is from The Hill from July 16th, 2026. Live updates. Trump alleges stunning Chinese election interference, deep state cover-up. President Trump, delivering a primetime speech Thursday, accused China of interfering in the 2020 presidential election that he lost, while claiming government officials intentionally played down the efforts. Trump said his administration was releasing tranches of classified documents to prove his allegations. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern, he said in a speech that was not carried by some of the major news networks. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we're releasing reveals the members of the deep state work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible, he added. Some of the House and Senate Republicans were not enthused over the potential that President Trump would rehash the 20... You know something? Forget the rest of the story. It's starting to turn into garbage. Now, most of you that saw President Trump's speech know exactly what he's talking about. And I think I'm going to save the rest of that for my final thoughts. It's just okay. We're going to go into vote notes. Vote notes. This is from Chamber in the News, July 15th, 2026. Protect Michigan Free Speech challenges money out of politics petition certification. The big picture. Last week, Protect Michigan Free Speech, a ballot question committee that includes the Michigan Chamber, filed a formal challenge with the Michigan Board of State Canvassers, the BSC, arguing that Michiganders for Money Out of Politics petition drive did not submit enough valid signatures to earn a place on the ballot. Why it matters. According to the challenge, the Bureau of Elections' 1,000 signature sample contains too many invalid signatures to meet Michigan's certification threshold. Protect Michigan Free Speech says its review found widespread irregularities in the sample and full set of signatures, including signatures attributed to deceased individuals. So not only the dead people vote from the grave, they also sign petitions as well. Possible forged signatures, duplicate signatures. Some people signed as many as 8 times. Signature and address errors. Signatures from individuals who were not registered voters. Circulator affidavit issues. Jurisdictional and address discrepancies. Several circulators included in the sample allegedly submitted additional petition sheets containing similar irregularities, and at least 2 circulators allegedly signed their own petition multiple times, raising questions about the compliance with Michigan election law. The challenge argues that the issues extend beyond the state's random sampling and argues these findings warrant a broader investigation on the entire petition submission, not just on the 1,000 signatures. Now, to qualify for the ballot, MMOP must submit at least 356,958 valid signatures. So under the review process, there were 636 or more valid signatures in the 1,000 signature sample certification. 635 or fewer valid signatures were denied. Protect Michigan Free Speech argues that the sample contains no more than 568 valid signatures, which it says falls well below the certification threshold. So that kind of continues on. So we don't know what kind of monkey business was going on with that, but yeah, they need to get the money out of the elections. Okay, international news. This is on Cook Islands, and this is from the election guide from July 19th, from Wikipedia, also from July 19th, and Cook Island News from July 25th, 2026. So I wanted to get some additional information. Usually I just get it from one source, but it was so sparse. I had to go searching even more. So first of all, where are the Cook Islands? That was one of the things that went through my head. Cook Islands. Oh, that's nice. Where are they? The Cook Islands are located in the South Pacific Ocean, roughly halfway between Hawaii and New Zealand. Situated in the heart of Polynesia, the archipelago is bordered by Tonga and Samoa to the west and French Polynesia to the east. Now, the country is made up of 15 scattered volcanic islands and coral atolls. The capital, Avarua, close enough, is located on the main island of Rarotonga. Okay. Their election for the Cook Islands is for their parliament. And the Cook Islands have 11,189 registered voters. And the Cook Island general election to determine the composition of the 19th Parliament is officially scheduled to take place on Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. The 18th Parliament was officially dissolved on June 25th, 2026, with 62 candidates competing across the constituencies, including the Ivurua seat, which was secured uncontested. So the Cook Islands general election will be held again on Wednesday, August 12th. The King's representative, Sir Thomas Marsters, announced this morning. In a radio announcement, Sir Tom said that upon the advice tendered to him by the Prime Minister to call for fresh elections and pursuant to Article 37 of the Constitution of the Cook Islands, he had dissolved Parliament forthwith and appointed Wednesday, August 12, 2026 as the date for the next general election. Sir Tom added, in accordance with the principles of the Westminster parliamentary democracy, the incumbent government will enter into a caretaker mode leading up to the election. Wow. There was a lot of words in there that were new to me. And no, I don't practice the names ahead of time. Maybe I should, because you can hear Tim cracking up over here when I'm talking. All right. So, and now we are at my favorite part of the show, my final thoughts. See, it just says final thoughts. There's nothing on there. Never know what I'm going to say. Well, as most of you know, last week, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, President Trump held a press conference. And as all of you know, the far left fake media, ABC, CBS, NBC, decided not to air it, which is a problem. It violates the FCC regulations and the law. They are required to air on the free airwaves anything that is deemed important by the White House. And I believe a president speaking and them talking about it ahead of time, that every American needed to hear what the president said. So we all know why they didn't bother airing it, because they're implicated in all the fake news. They are implicated in the cover-up. Now, I know there's going to be more coming out concerning this, but the fact that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, went in front of the people and released the documents. He unclassified the documents that were being sat on now for 6 years. All the stuff that a lot of people talked about ahead of time that was going on, and we're told we were the crazies, that there's no problem. This is the most secure election that we've ever had in the United States. Now, those of you that believe that, I do have a lot of swampland I can sell to you, okay? This is crazy. The information that has come out actually exonerates a lot of the people whose lives were destroyed. Rudy Giuliani, for one, President Trump, with all the stuff that was said about him. The fact that there was the secret government withholding information. The person from the FBI, that woman who now works for Microsoft, should not only lose her job, I would consider it treason. And I'm hoping our government does as well. Working against the United States, trying to overthrow the government. Now, this is just some of the documents that they have of all the proof and all the cover-up of everything that was going on. It didn't just start in 2020. A lot of this stuff has been going on for decades. And why do you think the Democrats refused to pass the SAVE bill in the Senate, Save America bill in the Senate? They cannot afford to have the voter rolls be cleaned up from all the illegals, all the dead people, all the ghost voters, all the people that have moved. And of course, again, the illegals. Before they say, oh, there's absolutely none. And now that they're coming out and showing the ones that are being arrested and put in jail, they'd say, well, there's only a few. Any vote by someone who should not be voting is a problem, is a huge problem. This is our America. It's bad enough that we have the communists who have been working for years and years and years to infiltrate our higher education institutions, and now it's trickled down right down to our nursery schools, and having all the DEI and the socialist platforms and the communist platforms. No, no, no. This is America. We are celebrating our 250th year from tyranny, from finally saying we're not going to put up with it. Do you realize what our founding fathers did? Especially those 56 that signed the Declaration of Independence. They basically signed their death warrant. Most of them lost all their wealth, their family, everything, but they stood together for our country. And we already know the Democrats hate Trump more than they could ever think of loving America. It's a huge problem. It's a huge, huge problem. And I'm getting really tired of it. Honestly, it has gotten so out of hand. Now, I talk about this every week that I live in the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut is becoming a communist state, bypassing socialism, straight to communism. And all the stuff that we've seen going on, that our majority of the Democrats that are in our House and Senate in Connecticut, most of which should not be there, by the way, because our voter rolls are horrible. We have a Secretary of State who refuses to have our voter rolls put into the alien ID information to find out who the illegals are, because they need them on the voter rolls. They refuse to send our voter rolls down to the Department of Justice. We have our Attorney General Tong, little Mr. Stamp his feet all the time. Every ridiculous lawsuit that supports socialism and communism and illegals, he is for. Now, some of you may have heard me say earlier, we just got our unemployment rates for June of 2026 here in the state of Connecticut. 5.2%. We have the highest unemployment rate in the entire country. We have 40% of Connecticut citizens who have said they plan on leaving Connecticut in the next 5 years. Those are taxpayers, by the way, because there's no way in hell that the illegals and those who should not be here, all the ones that are on the welfare system here in the state of Connecticut, all of them that are abusing the system, all the fraud that is going on. Do you really think in Connecticut they are actually going to look into the fraud? Even if they do, look at our judges. I mean, we have a Supreme Court that can't even do its job here in the state of Connecticut. We have far left liberal Democrats on our Supreme Court. So a number of you are probably sitting there going, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to lose Connecticut. No, we're not. We are not going to lose Connecticut. We are going to fight, and we are going to get it back. We are going to have votes in November with only eligible voters. If not, there's going to be consequences. We'll just leave it at that, because we're not letting you take it away from us this time. And we actually here in Connecticut have our 6 statewide offices that we didn't have a primary. They are all working together, out there campaigning, and they all need your help. They need you to make sure you vote this November. And I would actually vote for a Republican. If you want change, if you want the taxes to go down, if you actually want to have a say in planning and zoning, because you know what, right now, that bill that got passed allows the state of Connecticut to put low-income housing wherever they decide. Not your planning and zoning, no public testimony. They don't want to hear from you. These are the people that are supposed to be representing you. They don't want your voice. For some reason, they think they know better. Well, we know they don't. So this November, and it's not just in Connecticut, think about what's going on across the country. I was just looking at Tarrant County, Texas. Oh my goodness. What a great place for people to live. They want as many people who cherish America to come down there. But as I said, they don't want the liberal views from people up north coming and ruining their county. And I'll tell you, any liberal that moves from the state of Connecticut, that's basically what you would do. So what do we do now? First of all, get help. TDS, as I say, every week is real. Think about this. Ask yourself why the news networks that you watch all the time religiously did not air Trump's speech. Look what our Representative Himes said. Oh, it's all false information. Look what our governor said. No, it's not real. How long can they keep having you stick your head in the sand? They're pushing it into the sand. They're telling you exactly what you need to do. Open your eyes. Not just here in Connecticut, but everywhere. Look at what is going on. Read a little bit about our forefathers, our founding fathers. Read the Declaration of Independence. Read our Constitution. Actually do some reading. Don't listen to the pundits that you have been listening to. And there's a few on the right that are a little wackadoo too. But you guys have the majority. You guys take the cake. So we are going to continue to fight, not only for Connecticut, but we are going to fight for America, with you or without you. And we are going to accomplish our task in November. Okay, I guess I knew what I wanted to talk about this week in my final thoughts. So I want to thank everyone who is watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and all our other social networks that we're on, and as well as our special guest this week, Commissioner Matt Krause from Tarrant County, Texas. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.